Show title card, Kids.
Kids.
Track 3. Do you remember what this one was called in the beat folder?
Ooh, I actually don't. This is an old one, dude. I
I'm
do
trying
not
to remember what
remember.
it sounds like, what it was. I don't remember off the top of my head, but it
No,
is
damn.
Kids now. And what was kind of your process working through this song when you were making the beat? What you had in mind? What?
This was probably I got like a good like little VST, which is just like an instrument that you can play on your computer, and I think I was just messing around on the old keyboard, and then I played some chords that I like, and then I was just trying new sounds, and then just found some cool new sounds, and I was like, all right, I think this is a cool little beat right here. This might do the trick.
I think it's a super chill beat, and it made me want to sing. So I mean, going straight into it. Not every song do I start with a hook, but this one I just kind of went right into it. I felt like I needed to sing when I heard the instrumental.
Yeah, right. And like this hook is like very. I mean, it really like drives the song, you know. So why don't you talk about what's going on in this song a little bit? Tell us what we listen to.
Cool, yeah. First and foremost, in the last 2 podcasts, I failed to mention it, but Jordan is played by our friend Lyra, another friend of the show in this album. So you'll get to hear him throughout the entirety of the album playing the character, and then I go on to actually be narrating the character and what he's doing. So I'm playing him, he's playing him. It gets a little meta, but shout out Lyra.
Shouts out Lyra, friend of the show.
Now, we're on track 3, so the plot's got to start getting going, you know. We have only 12 tracks. That was by choice, but I wanted to make sure that, you know, it was short and sweet, which meant that every song had to have something very specific happen in it in order to push the plot forward. So now we've already introduced what? We've introduced Omar, we've introduced Jordan, we've introduced Taylor, Brian, as well as Jordan's friends. Now we're back to Jordan and Taylor because that's exactly where Jordan is at, you know, just in general. He's having this whole relationship that is very one-sided, and he is kind of with his head in the clouds with this relationship, not looking at the reality of it, but what he thinks the potential of it is, what he hopes for it to be. And so I really wanted this song to be focused around his ignorance. You know, he hasn't learned his lesson yet, and he's exclaiming throughout the entire song that he is not a kid anymore. And so he's going to do exactly what he wants. Don't tell me what to do, which is exactly what a kid says. He's supposed to, yeah, he's supposed to be sounding exactly like a kid while he's exclaiming that he's not one. So I really wanted to show his ignorance so that we have a jumping off point for his growth later on in the album. So this one's very focused around their relationship, and it's very introspective from Jordan's perspective of how he feels about Taylor, that he's aware that this is a very transactional relationship. And also he's kind of pleading Taylor in this album. He's kind of like, hey, like, what's wrong? Like, why can't I just provide for you? You know, I'm making this money, you know, selling these drugs on the side in order to, you know, not just get these things for you, but if you're really down for me like I'm down for you, then we can just get up out of here. And there's a lot of holes in his logic in this song intentionally because I want him to sound immature. He's not thinking things through. He's just like, if I'm making this amount of money because I'm starting to sell more of these drugs, then we can just get out of here. We can get a house together. We can get a house on the hill. So this is the first time that we get the symbolism of the house on the hill. I'll explain exactly what that is later on in the project, but it's very important. It's this goal that's in his mind, which is representative of happiness. And as I said, I'll flesh that out later on. But that's kind of where we find Jordan in track 3.
So he's back on that IG, huh?
He's back on that instant gratification.
God damn.
And what I love about this character is that he knows better. But he doesn't have the discipline to take himself from what is hurting him or what is unhealthy for him. He's just going to follow it until he can't follow it anymore. And we're going to see exactly when and how that happens in this album. But as for now, he's still kind of in La La Land, but he's aware that this isn't really for him. He's aware that, you know, she's pulling back, that he may have her affection, but that affection is temporary. And, he doesn't have her love, I particularly really like verse 3 because the first couple of verses are really just talking to Taylor from Jordan's perspective, and then the third verse gives him a little bit more backstory, a little more introspection about his family life, the way that he feels inside. Maybe he's kind of seeing in himself why he's feeling the way that he's feeling, why he's feeling a little bit empty. You get a little bit more insight into the backstory behind Jordan. And then after that introspection, he's like, yeah, but like, fuck all that though. Like, fuck all that though. Like, I'm getting pussy, I'm getting, like affection. And that's pretty much all that I need. And I think,
Right, like I don't want to think about my problems. I'm having fun.
yeah, I mean, because he's a junior in high school. Like, I think there's a number of adults that are having fun and don't want to think about the problems that they have because it's not like an age related thing, it's a human thing. But you do see it a lot more often with kids because, of course, you do. They haven't had the opportunity to learn yet. So, this is what that song represents: is he just hasn't had the opportunity to learn yet, or better even yet than that, he's not giving himself the opportunity to learn because he's making the wrong decision. And he knows it, and that's, like I said, that's what I love about the character. He's dimensional.
God damn. Now you got a dimensional character here. How do you write a dimensional character? Do you have to be dimensional yourself?
I would say so. Not to be like, oh, I'm so deep and introspective that you just have to be that in order to write that. But I do, like Jordan is not, it's not me at all. But there's aspects of Jordan that when I was writing, it was very sequential. So like, I started off in one place with Jordan, and then I wrote characters and I wrote situations, which meant it had to go into another place. And then in the process of continuing onward with the story, then I started to understand like where it was going to go. And from my own personal experiences and my own understanding of emotions, and from escapism, and from feelings of like low self-worth and insecurity, I was able to kind of fill in the gaps. So in a way, without trying to sound like a douchebag, like, yeah, you do kind of have to be a little bit deeper and understand human emotion at a little bit deeper of a level in order to write a character that is capable of introspection. Like,
Well, because you can't really write about what you don't know, I guess.
yeah,
Or you could, but it might not be very good.
yeah, like if you tried to, I think it would seem very forced. You would tell that it was inauthentic. And then when something is inauthentic, then you're like, okay, well, if you're writing about something that you don't know about, then it's clearly that you're trying to, I don't know, maybe get some brownie points or maybe appear deep instead of just fleshing out the way that you think or the way that you want the character to be and then just letting the audience decide for that. I really wasn't trying to like reach for any sort of, oh, this is like a very deep album, or like when people listen to it that they look at me in any form of way. I just wanted to get the character from point A to B to C to D, and I just filled in the gaps of like the way that he was reasoning, like the reasoning that he had even when he was making bad decisions with experiences that I've had, or like maybe other experiences of like me observing other people. I feel like I have a level of emotional depth that I could add to the character, and I feel like I got that across in kids. Yeah.
I feel like I see myself in kids, too.
Cool.
Because, yeah, it's like, you're a kid, your parents tell you to do something, you don't want to do what your parents want to say. It's like, no, like, I really want to do this. Like, I don't care if you don't think it's the right thing. I need to do it because I know it's right for me.
Right.
And it might not be. In fact, it's probably not, because your parents usually know best.
Yeah, if you got some good parents, or at least parents that continually try even though they mess up, they're human, like they got some game, so we should listen to them sometime, but we never want to when we're kids.
Right, kids gotta rebel.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you're at a point in life where you're starting to have some form of independence and some form of agency, but you're still under your parents' roof, ideally. And, that means that you also don't really have too much of a say. So there's this weird kind of give and take that's happening at that point, especially when you're a junior in high school like Jordan is. And as mentioned in the third verse, like I was saying, where it goes back into his backstory a little bit, then you're getting a little bit more of seeing like the turbulence that is in Jordan and Brian's home life, and why even if his parents were telling him to do something, he's likely not really going to listen because he's like, well, look at you guys, look in the fucking mirror. You know what I mean? Like,
Man, look at my parents.
yeah, and that's the thing is sometimes people have genuine game and they may not be applying it to their own life, and you could still listen to it. But the thing is, like when you're a kid and you could see that the way that they're living is not a way that you want to be living, then you're a lot more apprehensive in taking that advice. And yeah, Jordan's no different. Same thing with when his brother tries to, kind of warn him about the friends that he's around, the lifestyle that he's living or potentially living, and he's just kind of like, bro, you're just tripping, like I'm good with where I'm at, not knowing the dangers of the road that he's beginning on. Yeah.
So why don't you give like a quick little recap where we started in this album, where we're at now, what's going on?
Cool, yeah. So we start the album with it's just Jordan and Taylor for the most part. Jordan has a void that he needs to fill in himself, that he's trying to fill by doing favors, financial favors for his girlfriend, which means just buying her a bunch of shit. And so he's doting on her, and so she's getting, he's getting affection from her because of this transactional relationship. And we also introduce Omar as well, which is actually Jordan's older brother, Brian. He had a friend growing up that they're the same age, and they had a bit of like a separation. They had a falling out, and they're no longer friends. But I can relate to this. I don't know how many people can relate to this, but when you have a friend that has older brothers and those older brothers like have friends and stuff like that, you kind of look up to the older brothers because it's just kind of a natural thing that happens, especially if you don't have like brothers. Like I don't have a brother. I just have a sister, an older sister. And so when you would like go over to a friend's house and they have an older brother and then they have their friends over or whatever, there's kind of this like camaraderie and this kind of like looking up sort of thing. And I wanted to translate that to Jordan where like, he doesn't really understand why the falling out happened between Brian and Omar. So he's still cool with Omar, but Omar's also into a little bit of shady business, and he's the person that Jordan is getting the drugs to be able to get the money to supply the things for Taylor. So that's Vermilion, right? And then from there, we're introducing Brian, like I was just mentioning, who is the guiding light for Jordan, but he is apprehensive in following the game that he has to give because he doesn't know what he wants, and he wants to be his own person, and he feels like Brian's kind of breathing down his neck. He doesn't want to be like Brian, and he's also a little bit insecure about Brian because he's doing all the things that he feels like maybe he should be doing, but he doesn't just want to follow in his big brother's footsteps. And then also in day ones, we're introducing the friends, right? So track 2, we're introducing the friends, we're introducing the big brother. These are the positive influences in Jordan's life because his parents are not. And then all the way into kids, we're back to Jordan and Taylor and fleshing out a little bit more of the backstory of what has set Jordan on this path that he really shouldn't be on with Taylor, and also showing a little bit more of what he thinks about it. Because I really wanted people to see that he's aware that he's probably not doing the right thing, but the reason why I'm showing you that is because he doesn't know what to do or what the right thing necessarily is. He just knows that this is the wrong thing, but he's like, I might as well write it out because I am getting this love that I'm not getting at home. And that's where we're at with kids pretty much.
That's what's up, man.
Yeah.
The story's moving along.
The story's moving along. We're already on track 3, which is crazy. 12 tracks totals, and I just can't wait to show you guys where it's going,
For real. So is it safe to say we're done with chapter 3 now?
I would say so, man. I would say so. Moving on into chapter 4, and I can't wait to give some more explanations on the narrative. What about on the production side of things? Was there anything that was difficult for you, easy for you, that you had like a lot of fun with in the process of producing this album?
Well, this album or this song?
This song and this album.
Ooh.
Like where this song fits into the album,
I think what was kind of fun for me is that I honestly like completely forgot that I made this beat. And so it was kind of like one of those old beats, like so old that they were like past the threshold. I was like, okay, anything made before this date and time probably like isn't very good. But then, it ended up in the folder, and I was listening to it. I was like, actually, this isn't so bad. I guess I wasn't like complete dog shit back then, so that's cool. And I just really loved what Hayes ended up doing to this one. I love the hook that he did when we were recording. Also, too, this was the first song that I think we had our full booth set up for.
Nice.
At least we were close to it, because I remember once we got these recordings, this was the first time I said, all right, from here on out, it's going to be easy. And it was pretty easy, honestly. Like, this was a very clean one to mix. This was probably one of the first ones that sounded pretty good.
Thank God.
I would say. I know, right?
It took a while to get there.
Yeah, it definitely did. And but yeah, it was fun, like cutting up the beat with you for sure, just to kind of like help arrange the song and make it a little bit different. Yeah, damn, I'm kind of trying to remember when I made this beat. I think I actually remember making it twice. I think the like the main chords and keys, they used to be even simpler, but then I went back in it and like kind of revised them a little bit so they'd have like a little more variation.
Right.
I remember working on that like with like Sahan a little bit. Shouts out Lux. I think, or maybe I played it for him, but yeah, I literally don't remember. It's so weird. I think it was just so long ago.
Right.
But yeah, the recording process for this one, I honestly don't remember too many standout moments, but I do remember just like you just kept wanting to go back in, like more harmonies. And
Dense.
the stacks the vocal stacks though that we ended up with are fucking sick though. Like they sound really good. Yeah, I love what you did with the plays for sure.
Thank you. I love what you did with it too.
Hey,
The one thing that I really liked about this song too was the duration of it, because a lot of songs in this day and age are not very long. Because one, people have like short attention spans, but two, people want to just pump out music, and so like I said when we were doing the Vermilion podcast, we grew up in an era where there was like 5-minute, 6-minute hip hop songs with 3 verses. We grew up with like College Dropout and stuff, and so there was a lot of exposition. It gave me the opportunity to like do a lot more storytelling because of the length of it, but also because of the length of it, we're like, okay, there's like literally 4 fucking hooks in this song. And so when there's that many, then you have to change it up. So that was something that we kind of like evolved during, was because, typically it's just like, okay, you did the hook. Now I can just copy and paste it. And then, like end of story. But we didn't do that. We ended up like re-recording each of the hooks, which I think gave each of them, kind of their own standout aspect of them, made it kind of glow a little bit more. And especially when we got to the end, like I feel like with this album, we did a lot of just kind of playing around with like outros, and it felt like real music making instead of just by the books, like here's a verse, here's a hook, here's a verse, and then on to the next. I feel like we really... I think every song in the album we do that, but I think Kids is the first one where we really like step it up.
Yeah, I'd say so.
In terms of just playing around with it,
Right? Yeah, I would say so. And actually, now that I'm starting to remember more about the beat, I feel like even that beat was kind of more like playing around with. Like I remember I really wanted to try different sounds. Like I think we were working with Blast at the time. Shouts out Blast. And he always used the rim shot. And so I don't know if that was related, but I used the rim shot in this song. And then for the bass, I wanted, for some reason, I just heard in my head, like the stand-up bass, like the big one like that, instead of like the 808. Thank God, because during this period of time, I was like making the most like basic beats. I was like every beat was like Juice WRLD type beat, and which is fine, like shouts out Juice WRLD and Nick Mira and all those guys. But it's definitely not me. But yeah, anyways, I was making a lot of stuff like that back then. And then this one, it was good to kind of have like a more organic sounding bass in there. I feel like it kind of made the song like just a little bit more unique, like kind of give it its own little sound.
I feel like as we get older and the longer that we do music, the more that kind of more organic sounds, like we have a desire to put more organic sounds in our works. And I think that is making, I don't know if it's making it better, but I'm certainly enjoying the music more, or the music making process.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I think things like what makes music fun is like when it surprises you. So every time you do different stuff, it's fun.
True.
For sure.
We were playing around with it a lot, like kids.
Right.
As one would say.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Just like some kids, just playing, tinkering.
Was there anything else that you wanted to let the people know?
Shoot, not really. Kids out now. Go stream it. That's about it.
Kids out now, and then next week we got another track for you guys. Thank you for listening.
Stay tuned. Thanks for listening.